fortunately, if you're excited, but we'll see how the racing comes up, whether it's fortunate or not. She is Sarah Elbadwi. I'm Andy Serling. Good to be here. A little warmer today. We had a little bit of rain overnight, and of course, the eternal question is whether or not the track is any different today.
Yeah, I mean, we've been wondering for quite some time, and we've had some weather, and it's warmed up, so perhaps things have changed a little bit, but you never know. So I didn't make any selections today based on a potential for a bias because I thought it was mitigating a bit.
Is it me or is it?
It's a little dark in here.
No, it's not. It's not dark in here. It was the
I
video.
know,
It's
kidding.
fixed now, right? It's fine. We'll see what happens with the racetrack. We have a lot to talk about. 8 races to talk about. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code a bonus 200, and we'll match but $200 of your initial deposit. We have 20% win bonus at Turf Paradise. We'll be showing a couple of races there on America's Day at the Races. And speaking of America's Day at the Races, we have a cross-country Big Five, 3 at Oaklawn, 2 here, last 2 here, last 3 at Oaklawn. They will all be shown on America's Day at the Races from 3 to 6 on FS2. Race number 1, going a mile, features the long-awaited return of Just Music, who has not been running that frequently. Maybe Linda wanted to wait until the summer, winter. Maybe the horse had some issues. She had put in a sort of a long, sustained campaign. I'm going all the way back to December 6th, over a year ago, when she won a race. She also ran against better horses. Listen, I'm not in love with taking these kind of layoff horses, but man, she's just better than these horses if she runs any number of her races.
She is. She's faced horses that are much better than the competition that she's running into today. She's one that towards the last couple of times that we've seen her on the racetrack, I felt that even going that mile and an eighth, she was a little more tactical than she had been at times. She'd been a horse that was really that deeper closer once in a while, and times of her career where she hadn't shown as much speed after showing some early on. So I don't think that this trip is going to hurt her as much coming in off the layoff. I just picked the horse that I thought would be in front of her early.
Well, there really isn't any speed signed on in this race, and so because of that, she should be in a good spot. Now, having said that, if we have the track we've had over the last couple of weeks, and maybe it mitigated a little bit at times over the weekend, but for the most part, it remains you want to be inside for at least part of the race to be successful. And we'll take a look at Carrera's last race, and she is going to be the inside speed in all likelihood. And yeah, maybe that'll carry her to victory. I'm not going to start out my week, though, by assuming we have a bias, because I don't really think she's very good.
No, and I don't either. I think that she's one that she's going to be able to handle this distance as she has in the past before, and I like that they did step her up in class last time out. I know that she was a heavy favorite. Flavien Prat was aboard that day, and I felt as though stretching back out in distance, she could just be forward in here, and she's at least the one outside of Just Music that I feel could perform at this level in case Just Music needs to start off the layoff.
It's fine. I thought she did not run that well last time, and you know I expect those horses to move up for Sandy. She's run well. She's run well on wet tracks before, but I have her second as well because there just aren't that many places to go in this race. I mean, there is Vinio Frizzante who's coming off a win, but that's a win against significantly inferior horses.
I agree completely. I think that looking at a Chocolate and Saucy Six group versus a horse like Just Music or even a couple of others in here, it's an inferior group.
There's early money right now on Broadway Lights, assumedly because Flavien Prat is riding. I don't understand what about her PPs makes her particularly competitive here.
She doesn't win either. I mean, she's a horse that has more second place finishes than wins. She was a short price last time. I know that she was forward and the pace was a little more contentious in there, but I don't know. I thought that stretching out, Carrera could potentially be in front of her, and she's going to have to either go from that position or I don't know. I just don't think she's a winning type.
She doesn't have much speed, so I don't really know how she gets herself in position. I agree. You've got her third. I had her nowhere. Race number 2 going 7 furlongs. We'll start by showing Bourbon Chase on the rail, and Flavien's riding this one. I think even without Flavien, you'd be dealing with a horse that's pretty logical. I mean, this horse has just sort of run against some better horses as we go back 3 starts to this horse's win, and the horse's figures are just consistently good.
Yeah, he shows up. He's one that has been against some tougher competition for sure. I think that for a while he was kind of proving himself to be more of that second place finisher, but I feel as though that's been overcome a bit in his career over the past maybe 5 or 6 starts. And I feel as though I've never seen a race where you have more than half the field and in 4 of them first-time geldings. as the angle. I know it's not
Yeah,
something that changes my handicapping opinion or yours, but I just thought it was kind of funny.
I hadn't even noticed that. Okay. We've both gone to Radio Red. We'll take a look at Radio Red. 3 races back with the win. I'll let you talk about him.
Yeah, I think that he's easily forgiven for that last race where he was just not persevered with, coming off a bit of a break in there. And looking at the kind of horses that he's faced in the past, Ignite the Light, Crazy Mason, Jefferson Street, Subrogate when he was in good form, General Banker, I think that he's just one that overall, if you look at the competition this horse has faced, I think it could be argued that some of it's a little bit better than others in here. Now, you're not dealing with any slouches in this race by any means, but I felt as though he was one that has the races, at least consistently, that could be fast enough to put him in the mix. And I don't have any problems with him in the 7 furlongs, as well as the fact that he has a little more early speed.
Now, he's obviously not going to have a trouble winning this race, and I don't think he has much speed. We'll agree to disagree on that, but I don't think he's going to have trouble winning unless we have a fair racetrack. He's not a horse I want any part of if we have an inside bias, because he doesn't, to me, have a lot of speed, and he's stuck on the outside, so I don't really know what Kendrick can do. Danny's horse has been running very well lately. He's got solid numbers and small sample size coming off of layoff, 6 to 12 months, 4 for 10. 346 ROI. Now, doing it his first time for a tag, for what it's worth, he's 0 for 2. But, this is a 6-year-old that hasn't run now since June. Where is Danny supposed to run him? Is he supposed to sit around trying to win a non-winners at 2 with him? Or is he supposed to run a realistic spot? If somebody wants to take him for 50, what is he really worth?
Well, and also he only ran the 4 times total last year, and one of those was where he was eased. So I think that they're just being realistic with where they're spotting this horse now, because he's probably not the same kind of horse that can be consistently on the racetrack as much as he was going back to 2023 and parts of 2024.
I don't think there's a lot of speed in here. Flavien will probably go from the rail, and maybe he'll be able to be the speed from there. Antonio Venice certainly can go, and you imagine that Manny will want to go with him. Yep. And even Disarmed can go in this race as well. I didn't love any of those horses, to be honest. I put Antonio Venice third in here. He's not a horse was winning races last year, and it's sort of been a while since he had his best form, but he does have some pretty decent races. I struggled with this race. I just thought Radio Red might have the best races going back, see if he's any kind of price, but I don't have a strong opinion here. I thought this was a very, very wide open race, and you look at the morning line, 2 to 1 to 5 to 1 with 6 of the 7 horses, or 5 of the 6 horses left, and then an 8 to 1. It's not like anybody in here is considered a rank outsider. I think even Gunnar Bay, the rank outsider, is not impossible. I didn't think his last race was that bad.
Yeah, no, I mean,
he gets cheaper.
He's not one that I would necessarily be throwing on my tickets, but he has plenty of early speed, and he's one that is in good form as of late.
All right, we'll go on to race number 3, where I don't know about you, but I put Apollo Code on top in this race, who is a heavy morning line favorite, and I don't have a big argument against him. I think he's supposed to be the speed in this race. I thought he ran fine last time out. I don't know. I just thought he was super logical in this race. What's not to like about him is the speed. You get get a bias track, he'll be very tough to beat, but I don't even worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he has plenty going for him with or without any sort of bias. We'll see how much pressure New York Scrappy and Manny Franco try to put on him, but I think he's naturally faster, and he does draw better if we do see a similar track to last week with that inside position. I have nothing against him whatsoever. I think that he's one that makes a lot of sense in here, and I just didn't want to pick him on top because I kind of wonder where or how long that form can be sustained for, but he's super logical. He wouldn't be left off any tickets of mine.
Talk about Captain Jack Sparrow.
If I'm looking around for somebody else, and I don't want to put New York Scrappy on top because I thought that he was one that was perhaps aided by the wet track, and that was a number that was better than what we'd seen from him on dirt in the past. It just seemed like the other horse to potentially go to was Captain Jack Sparrow, and even though he is one that faced lesser company last time, I thought that he had some difficulty at the start of that race. I thought that he had a wide trip against better horses 2 starts back. He doesn't really have any early speed, and that is a concern to me. But I think that overall, he's been able to show up at times and run a race that could be a number that's competitive with some of these and is at least a fair enough price.
I had him by third by default. I don't like him in this spot. I thought he was very fortunate to win last time, where he got a tremendous setup against lesser horses. As far as New York Scrappy will show his last race, I agree with you. I guess he could be a thorn in the side of Apollo Code, and I think he may make things difficult for Apollo Code. I don't like this horse at all. I
Yeah.
don't think he's good enough.
Yeah, I don't either. I think that he's one that just kind of benefit from how the racetrack was last time, getting a comfortable lead, able to extend a margin that I thought was a bit exaggerated against horses that aren't as good as these. And also, he's never run anything like that before in the past where, yes, he's had some numbers on the dirt in the high 60s, but that was an improvement of 10 buyer points from his start prior to that. He was favored in the start prior to that. I just sort of want to see it again.
Yeah, I agree. I think Frickin' Fack is dangerous in the air. I don't love him and didn't love his last race, to be honest. But, I thought there was an edge to the rail and speed last time, and he was able to sort of overcome that, though he had a pretty good trip. I just thought at least with him, you've got a horse that's a little underexposed. And there's so many horses in here that I don't like. So I don't totally trust Apollo Code with the presence of the 6. I think he's far and away the best horse in this race. I'm hoping that Frickin' Frack might be the other horse, as you're hoping that Captain Jack Sparrow is. Race number 4. So, race number 4 is a race that is absolutely full of question marks. And I'll start out by showing a horse that's going to be one of the favorites. And we'll go back, I guess, to June with him right at the end of the Aqueduct meet last year when he was able to win. His form completely fell apart, and also fell apart when they claimed him from Flying P. It's a horse that Sandy Goldfarb claimed. It took him 5 months to get to the races. He ran like absolute garbage, albeit against a much better field. And now he's just dumping this horse. He can win, but boy, I put him second because of how much respect I have for the connections in his back races. But boy, is he hard to trust.
Yeah, especially off of the last 2 races where tougher field or not 2 back. It's clear that things have not really gone forwards with this horse in terms of going from the high percentage connections that he was with to connections that I respect as well and generally have higher percentages too. So to see him fall off the map like that was kind of alarming for me. And I feel as though his better races are just a thing of the past.
Talk about master of arms.
Yeah, he's one that he just seems to show up for all sorts of different connections. And I know that his last race was not that great, but I thought that he was inside against some horses that, even though it was for the $16,000 tag, that some of those are ones that are perhaps...
Well, he was way against the track last time. There's no doubt about it. You can just dismiss his last
Well, sure,
race.
yeah. And then if you go to the race before that, I thought that he ran fine against 10 Cent Town when 10 Cent Town actually decides to run one of his better races every once in a while. He just has the consistency, I felt like, for the most part, that I could trust him to show up on the day more than a lot of these question marks.
He won rating 3 races back at 36 cents the dollar. I didn't know what to do with him because you've got speed from Best Bet inside of him and you've got speed outside of him with Gray Wing. So you never know how these things are going to play out, and maybe you have an inside track and Best Bet doesn't send and he ends up on the rail and he wins. But in my opinion, he would need every bit of getting sort of very fortunate to win this race. So I could see it. It's a very tough race. I mean, I think the most logical horse in this race might be Lucky Dude, especially if we have a fair racetrack as we go to Parks in his last race. I thought his last race was actually pretty good.
Yep.
The horse he ran second in there ran an 83 buyer, then he ran a 70 here, and then he came back with an 84 buyer. Now, the race did collapse, so he had everything go his own way. But if we have a fair racetrack, there could be a fair amount of hitting in this race, and he could get another good trip. And while we haven't seen, John Kirby hasn't done that badly here. He's 4 for 22, 248 ROI, and 10 of them hit the board. So his horses have come here and run. And is he a little dressed up off the last trip? Yeah, a little bit, but he's got some pretty good consistent numbers, and this could be a horse that just absolutely perfectly fits this race.
Yeah, based on the way that he ran last time, absolutely. And I think that if you go back to, you can see in his running lines that he's one that's capable of being a little more adaptable, a little more tactical if there isn't that much pace on early. So I don't want to...
Well, there's going to be pace here.
I agree
mean,
as
there has
well.
to be
But at the
pace.
same time, it's nice to know that you have a horse that can adapt if need be.
Yeah, he's not an absolute plotter.
Yeah.
He's a horse who could be sitting 4th and 5th with the pace in the race. I'm going to bet Gray Wing. I'm just going to assume Rick Dutrow, for what it's worth. Well, first of all, claimed away from the last connections. 12 for 4 on the dirt. 12 for 46, 28%, 243. So it's been productive claiming away. I thought Rick claimed this horse at a bottom level. He doesn't come back and run at a bottom level. He finds a more aggressive spot in here. This horse who's got plenty of races going back. He is the outside speed in a race with some other speeds. He has won rating before, so he can be aggressive. But if they're really going to go flying up front, he doesn't have to be. And if he's going to have trouble winning on a biased racetrack, because, he'll probably be stalking outside. If you get a fair racetrack, I really like this horse today. In Rick We Trust,
Okay.
and I'm going to bet on Gray Wing in here.
he's got the back races to go to, that would certainly make him dangerous.
See what happens. Head on over to nowhere. Take a break. I'm sorry, my brain is fuzzy. It's been a little long.
It's a
week.
Monday.
It's, whatever. Anyway, take a break. Be back with the Loaded Pick 4.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Sarah and Andy, race number 5. I went a little bit nuts in this race, but I thought it was a reasonable race to go a little bit nuts because I don't love the horses that are going to take money. We'll start with Take Me to London, the horse who you have on top, who is the second choice in the line. This is the second place finish 2 back at 3-2. And then the stinker last time. Why am I supposed to trust this horse, Sarah? And I've got her third by default, but I could never bet my money on her.
Honestly, a lot of it was not trusting some of the others in here and having a horse that is more lightly raced than a couple of the others who perhaps, if there is some excuse for last time, I don't know what it was, but let's say that there was, and this horse is one that now drops back to a level that's a little bit lesser of a claiming tag. There was the voided claim last time. Who knows what that means? It could be paperwork. It could be something physical. We have no idea.
It's almost never paperwork. It's probably more to do with the fact the horse lost by 30 lengths. I think it might be the rule if the horse loses by more than 25 lengths, but I doubt it's paperwork. I don't know. Here's the problem I have with something you said.
What?
You just sort of said, let's assume something happened. You want to assume something happened at 10-1 with a horse. Okay, but this horse is going to be one of the favorites. Why are we just assuming something happened with this horse?
Because I feel as though the race 2 back was at least one where, look, she was an extremely short price, but part of that wasn't that Flavien Prat riding. The short price that she was last time. If somebody else was aboard, would she have been the same?
Louis Rivera was a shorter price the next time. So
well, that was also a different group of horses.
I don't disagree that I don't disagree that Flavien Prat is saying the price. I agree. Her race 2 back probably makes her the horse to beat in here. I do not disagree with that at all. I just am a little bit worried about the last race. That's my problem.
I think you have to be.
I don't want to be just completely dismissive of a short price horse coming off of such a terrible race. So I'm going to play against her because of that. You're not as concerned, and that's fine. I mean, listen, it can work both ways. I just worry about that last race. I cannot take Spirit of Esther on top in this race. And
where has her form gone?
I mean, well, hang on a second. She was on a dead rail last time, so she has a viable excuse for running a worse number last time.
Well, there's a lot of recent races.
Well, but she is consistently in a lot of her races where she's run, buyers in the 50s. So, I mean, if you don't like the 4, without question, she's the horse to beat. She just doesn't win.
She doesn't win.
That's my problem with her.
She has a lot of inconsistency. She has the early speed where she's had a couple of trips, in my opinion, where she's been able to have everything absolutely her own way and then has just packed it in the stretch. So that worries me more than a horse that was a short price that maybe has an excuse last time, maybe not, versus one that may have everything look like it's supposed to be the winning kind of trip and then just dissolve.
They all have an excuse, and then the excuse more often than not turns out to be BS.
Sure.
So I'm looking at this race. I can't take the 4 off that last race at a short price. I cannot pick Spirit of Esther on top. I have no argument that they're the horses to beat in here because we're not exactly dealing with a particularly strong group.
No.
I do think the pace is going to be kind of quick too, and I think that works against Spirit of Esther because she's got Blue-Eyed Scout outside of her,
Yep.
who you have to imagine is going to go in this race. And as far as that's the fact, Jack, well, we're dealing with a horse that, even though she angled out, she was on a dead rail last time for a great deal of the running in there. And she never got that far off the rail. She went, I think, right back to the rail. So I don't agree with that 3 wide upper. I think that was being way too generous. You know, she got wired the time before that. They were better horses. She's dropping in for 12.5 in here,
Yep.
where most of these horses have run at bottom levels before. So at least she's dropping down. I thought if she ran the race 4 back, she could win this race. And I know you're going back quite a ways, but you know what? I can make at least one excuse for her last race. I don't like anybody in this race. I
don't
tried to
either.
get creative, and I took that's the fact, Jack. Is just a horse who has a little something to offer and is double-digit odds in a race where I cannot bet either one of the favorites.
I don't blame you. I mean, this is a tough one where when you look at calling an audible and she starts to make sense, you know you're dealing with a tough field.
See what happens in race number 5. It just to me has the kind of look where something goofy may happen. It might be somebody neither one of us has in the top 4, but something goofy could happen in there as we move on to race number 6. And we'll take a look at Meg's Foxy Gray, who's the 4-5 morning line, and we have on top. I mean, she's just been in great form, and she's supposed to be the speed here. And I'm just not going to bet against her. I know she was disqualified once from purse money, but she came back after that next race and ran very well against better horses. Isn't she just better than these on her recent form?
She is. And look, if you want to go back a ways for some of them, maybe you could make the argument that it's in there. But we've seen this horse progressively improve. And I think that you make a great point how we saw her replicate a number similar to the one that was when she was disqualified from that purse money. So it's not as though that was a race that just came out of nowhere. She can be forward. She can be a little tactical. I just really couldn't see past her, especially after the horse that I had a little interest in, Howling Wind, scratched. And there was just nowhere else for me to go with a horse that just looks better.
Fortunate scratch for you.
Yeah, this was a tough field for her.
She was not beating this field. And I'm kind of wondering a little bit if Jimmy realized that. Brunch with Amy, who seems like the second choice down the inside. She was second last time. We'll take a look at it. I thought she ran fine last time, and she's the logical other horse in here if you're against the 2.
Yeah,
or the 2 loses.
It seems like it's these 2, and then there's a way back to a couple of the others in here. She just, at the same time, if you're going to take a horse as the second choice, she doesn't have the races that the 2 has in her last 2 starts that are just faster than anything she's been able to show up with in terms of buyer speed figures on the racetrack.
The horse I want to use in here, along with the favorite, is Racing Colors.
One of my pets.
Well, you know, Racing Colors, I know she doesn't win or even run second that much with only 10 first and seconds and 51 starts, but one thing she does
She tries.
is consistently run reasonable figures and figures that absolutely fit in this field, and she's going to be a very big price. And last time out, she was chasing a much better horse on a track that was extremely kind to speed. And even, you know, you look with Work With Me, who was second there coming back, I'm sorry, Walk With Me. Came back to win. Save As Money was against the track in her next start. I can make an excuse for that bad figure, and this is a horse who's just maintained her form for Norm Follett for a long, long time. And
she's been in some tough spots,
I
too.
just thought, you know, I want to use her to big price in here. She's not a winning type, but I think that she can be second or third in here because I'm not thrilled with a lot of the others in this race.
I don't blame you. And I look, Racing Color is one that I've tried many, many times to get to the winner's circle or at least be involved in some of the exactas and trifectas at a big price. And I couldn't quite see it today, but if
She doesn't
beats me,
win,
I understand.
but she consistently runs well,
sure does.
which is sort of cool about her. Race number 7. I'm not going to try to beat Bernard, and neither are you. Bernard Hunk of Love will go to the last race where I wouldn't say this horse was right on the inside, but was pretty close to the inside, was dueling with Looms Boldly, who finished 5th, who came back and ran well in a subsequent start. And I just thought that this horse is not going to face the kind of pressure. I don't think the 10-cent Town is nearly as fast as Looms Boldly.
No, I don't think so either. And 10 Cent Town doesn't have the consistency of showing that kind of early speed, even when he's been capable of being forward. Overall, I feel like he's one that he can have that early position, but he's had different kind of trips in some of his races that I don't trust that they're going to all out send with him. And I just think Bernard Hunk of Love is faster as well.
I'm going to use Shoot the Nickel, who actually ran reasonably well. I have that horse second. I'm not thrilled with him. I guess Play is probably the other horse in this race. We can pass on the other replay, by the way. Okay, we'll just throw that one out.
Yeah.
Where you and I saw the race the same.
We did, yeah. And Shoot the Nickel, I thought, ran extremely well with dynamics that haven't necessarily been his game in that last start to finish third at what was a big price. And it was a well-beaten third, but I thought that that was a decent effort for a horse that early on in his career, he had shown some early position. They had been more forward with him. He won 2 back by being forward, and then I thought that he adapted well to circumstance at a huge price last time out.
There just weren't horses I particularly liked in this race, to be honest with you, and I didn't have anything clever to say here. As we go on to race number 8, I meant to ask David, and I think he caught a break with Magnanimous Max scratching. He has sequential. Now the favorite was 7-2. He had Magnanimous Max 3-1. As we show sequential's last race, I disagreed with him wholeheartedly on this. I thought sequential would be a huge favorite in this race off the 82 buyer.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he doesn't have any other races that are nearly as good as that, but people like the recency. David's usually right about these things. I was surprised he didn't have this horse a much shorter price.
I mean, maybe it's a situation where people are seeing the big move up where this horse was able to get the first victory of his career and was able to control. And I thought that this was a decent effort from him.
Not going to control here?
No, well, yeah, I mean, I think that it's completely possible. But at the same time, where did that race come from? It's not as though it's not a complete outlier.
He's a one-number horse, but I'm not sure some of his other races don't make him competitive here.
He's shown speed in plenty of his efforts, so I think that he could easily be the speed in this spot. I just sort of want to see what he brings to the table if he's going to be that shorter price.
You and I disagree about this race completely. I think he is way the horse to beat in here, and I think he's going to be tough to beat in this race. I'm going to try to take a small shot against him. What am I missing about Egyptian?
He's one that I like the slight cutback to the mile because he's had those 2 races at 1 1/8 where he's been forward, but it's just sort of faded in the later stages. And I feel as though this slightly less distance will be really helpful for a horse who I like that he's lightly raced. I like that he's only had a couple of opportunities. I like that he's one that is running a similar number in his last couple of races versus others where you have more of that outlier like sequential. Other races of his don't make him that much of a standout in this field.
He does have consistency. To me, he doesn't show that he had a problem with 1 1/8. He had a problem with being slow. He's a price. I wish you luck. I didn't see him at all. He will certainly be a price. As far as Resilient Hero, there are a lot of horses I don't really like in this race. I do think that Ambridge is dangerous, dropping down for Bill Morey. I think he has a chance, but I'm not so sure about his overall form, but I think he's fairly logical and he'll obviously be one that's, I think, going to be the second choice near. I don't trust Superpower. These Miguel drop-downs have not run that well. He's got sort of one number, but obviously he can win. They're the logical horses. Not a lot of horses near I really liked. I do not like Small Change Jeep, who I think that going to take some money because Flavian's riding. I think with another rider, he could be 15-1 in this race.
This is a better field.
And he's going to be a fraction of it. As far as Resilient Hero, it's not like you have great numbers first time for a tag for Jose Jimenez, but I mean, this horse has been running in a completely different galaxy of racing in his races. Vibrant Express, and I know he's totally dressed up. Mo 88 in that race. And, you know, it's not like he didn't do any running in those races. He's running figures that are absolutely competitive if you don't think Sequential is going to run his RAS number. And he's, 12-1 on the line. Now, I don't think we're going to get 12-1, but these are not connections. They're going to take a lot of money.
No, he's not going to be
I think at 8-1, he's actually an overlay in this race because I think you look at his dirt races, and they absolutely match up to everybody in here except for Sequential's last race. And like you say, I don't totally believe Sequential will run back to it. I think he's still going to be very tough to beat, but I'll take a slight shot with this horse who has races that make a lot of sense, and only because he has lower profile connections, he'll be a bigger price.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that he's one that he's just faced much, much better horses than where he's going to be running against today. They put blinkers on. I don't know what that means in terms of where he'll be positioned, but he has more consistency than several others in here. It's not as though he is that one number type, and it's been against so much better.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his last 4 figures, and they all sort of fit in this race.
Absolutely.
And to me, he's got a little bit of a look like Racing Colors, where he's going to be a price, but he runs races that are fast enough to win. And, there's different reasons for handicapping, but I think that at a price, I'm more than happy to take a slight shot with him because a lot of horses near I just didn't feel like picking, and I think Sequential is going to be pretty short in here. We'll see if it works out that way, though. David's usually right about these. Sarah, thank thank you. We are done. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code bonus200. I knew it was coming up. I just got a little ahead of myself mentally. My brain is churning here. Bonus 200, nairabets.com. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit, a 20% bonus if you're playing Turf Paradise. A couple of those races, 5 and 6, will be on America's Day at the Races. Opt in for that. We've got a cross-country Big 5, 2 here, 3 at Oaklawn. Starts at 4:13, ends sometime before 6 o'clock. 3 at Oaklawn, 2 here. Late races, our last 2, their last 3. All of them will be on America's Day at the Races from 3 to 6 on FS2. See you then. Sarah, thank you. Thank you. Thank everybody. Chris Griffin's up next with a reprise of Scratch and Changes. Have a great day.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.